Knives that are suboptimal for EDC, but I still carry and love anyway. Just going to make a quick little discussion video here about knives that are not the greatest at everything. They may not be the lightest, they may not have the most useful blade shape overall, they may not carry well, deployment on them may be weird, but you just love the way they look, you just like playing with them, fondling with them, and you just gotta carry them and use them anyway. At the end of the day, a knife is still a knife, and if it still functions good enough, then it must be good enough to carry, if you like it enough anyway. Now, for example of an optimal knife, let's bring out this Kershaw Nerve, now discontinued. This knife is extremely useful overall. It's got a great blade shape, good belly on there, good for piercing as well. It's not too slim, but it's not too wide either. Good all-around carry task knife. Thick handle, it's not huge, nothing super chunky or anything, but it's thick. You know, hand-filling, comfortable. We got our jimpin up here, which is nice. Also along the back right there, tip up carry, carries well. Can deploy it quickly, can deploy it slowly, locks up just fine, liner lock. Good looking knife, you know, decent looking. It's not beautiful or anything, but I like it. Comfortable. This is a great knife, but there's nothing really about it that jumps out at me. There's nothing really terribly crazy, interesting, or unique about it. So let's go see some knives that are not extremely optimal in everyday situations. This one is optimal overall. I can't think of anything that it really is bad at. There's nothing really that it necessarily excels at either, but it's just a good all-around knife. So let's see what I am talking about here. Here is the Schrade SCH 301, I believe, is the name of this one. Yeah. See all the rust bits? I have to do some cleaning. This thing is old now. I had this for many years. Haven't cleaned it, but I used it a lot. Put it through a lot of difficult tasks. In fact, maybe that's not even rust. It could just be dirt particles and stuff. Yeah, I think it's dirt. Anyway, this knife is almost 11 ounces. I think it's like 10.3 ounces or something. Here, let's weigh it. I actually got my scale right here. Yeah, 10.43 ounces. Yikes. This is the heaviest knife I've ever seen. The heaviest knife I have of this size. It's not like an enormous, 16-inch long knife or anything. It's just like a normal medium-sized holder. It's only slightly bigger than the Nerve I just showed you there. This is unimaginably heavy. Sometimes weight can be a good thing if you're using the knife as an impact tool or certain cutting tasks when you're just bashing the crap out of something. Yeah, you want weight, maybe. But generally speaking, weight's a bad thing. I can't think of any other situation where you would want the knife to be heavy. And this is the heaviest knife for the size I've ever seen in my life, period. But you know what? I still carry it. I still love it. It's not optimal for carry. No, a more optimal EDC knife would be light or weight, or as light as possible. But this one's very, very heavy. But hey, it's smooth, it's got a strong-ass lockup, it looks really cool, it's like a technical, looks like a titanium custom beefy frame lock, but it's cheap, it's only like 20 bucks. And I think that makes me like it even more, the fact that it's so affordable, I'm not afraid to bash on it. I'd probably just pick up another one of these, or a couple more of these, honestly. They're so cheap, but they are actually useful. Just so heavy, though. Unimaginably heavy for the size, but I still carry it and love it anyway. I still like it, I like playing with it. It's fun to flick open and close. It just feels like a higher quality knife than it really is. That's cool. Speaking of heavy knives, let's throw in another one here. This is the Boker Dark Hollow. You might recognize this guy. Another huge heavy knife. This one actually is a titanium frame lock versus the stainless steel frame lock we just saw over there. G10 handle scale on here. Really cool looking. It's ugly in such a cool way. I think it's good looking in an ugly way. Interesting to say. But its lockup is subpar. It actually has some up and down, which I heard was a notorious issue this knife had back when they made it. Again, this one's also discontinued. It's just the titanium frame lock with that stainless steel. Just for whatever reason, they don't play nice. I don't know what it is. It's also kind of stiff, too. It's difficult to disengage it. Has a really strong detent on there. But I still like it. It's very inefficient as far as its cutting edge to overall length ratio goes. Look how tiny that cutting edge, I think it's a 3-inch cutting edge, and look how long the knife is in comparison. You can even see the cutting edge on the Schrade I just showed you here is actually longer. Slightly longer there. But the knife is... Okay, maybe that's not the best example. Actually, this is almost the same length. Let me show back the Nerve. There we go. That's a much longer cutting edge. Okay, maybe not much longer, it's like half an inch, but still, look how much shorter the knife is overall, though. You just have a lot of extra knife here. It's inefficient. The use of it is reach and having a legal edge, technically speaking, so you want something for defense, you want some reach or whatever it is, but you don't want to, you know, have 0.5 inches over the legal length and then go to jail because of that stupid little detail right there. I suppose it's useful for that, but it's inefficient. It's not a very efficient optimal knife, but I still love it. I still carry it all the time. I think it's cool. I like the big old chunky beefiness to it. I like the way it looks. I like how strong and tough it is. The positive click you get on the frame lock, despite the fact that it's a little difficult to deploy. I still like it. I still carry it. I think it's cool. Is it as useful as the Nerve? No, not really, no. The Nerve has more edge, but it's technically not going to be quite as strong as this. Here's a knife that's just really slick. Too slick. Schrade Buku. Love this thing. It's beautiful. Love that stonewash finish. I love the IKBS system they got on this one. It just makes it a dream to open and close. But it's slick as crap. It's just so slippery. I feel like I'm going to accidentally cut myself on this thing. I think if I just thrust forward a little bit, my finger's going to slide up because there's no guard on there much either. It's just really slick. Disengaging, it's a little tricky too. It's hard to kind of bite on that frame lock because there's no jimping or cutouts on there or anything. Not noticeable cutouts anyway. It's a little tricky if you're not really paying attention. Your thumb just slips over that thing multiple times. You have to really carefully put your thumb in there and then try to disengage it. It opens fine. It carries like a dream. Extracts out of the pocket like a dream too. Great pocket clip. It's smooth. I just don't know what it is. It's just so slippery. I feel like it's gonna fly out of my hands if I were in a stressful situation and I were trying to deploy this and my adrenaline was going. I would not be super confident with this knife. Trying to get it out of the pocket and deploying it anyway. I don't know. It's a little annoying. The fact that it's so slippery. The jimping doesn't really work well on the spine either. It doesn't really do anything. It's so slippery and kind of difficult to disengage it. And it's just, but you know what? I still like it anyway. I think it's beautiful. I love the kukri blade shape on there. I love the stonewash. Love the IKBS. I love the internal frame lock bar stabilizer right there. It's just so elegant and sexy. It's cool. No, it's not optimal. I would like something with more jimping. I would like something with a grippier handle. I would like the thumb hole to be a little bit more exposed there. It's a little tricky to get to, which disengaging it wasn't as hard. But I still love it and I still keep it and I still use it all the time. Another Schrade here. SCH I keep forgetting this one. It's 3CB. Whoa. This one comes in and heads turn. Like, well, what the crap is that? Whether you think it's cool looking or whether you think it's really ugly, you're going to be looking at this thing. I happen to think it's sweet looking. Again, looks like something a young boy would think is cool looking. It looks like a cheesy toy or something, I know. But it is a useful knife. It does have a usable cutting edge on there. It's nothing to be laughed at, even if you may laugh at the way it looks. I think it's cool looking, even though it's kind of hokey and cheesy looking. I know, I still like it. Sci-fi knife. I carry and use this thing all the time. The pocket clip sucks. I still haven't loosened it yet. I have to loosen that pocket clip. It's just so tight. It's on this rubberized material, which is also a bitch because you have to lift it up to get to the pivot screw. And it just like has an adhesive sticky material on it, which eventually will not be as sticky anymore and fail. So you might have to glue that back on if you just keep taking it on and off all the time, trying to adjust the pivot screw there if it loosens up on you. It's assisted. It works well, actually. Deploys fast. Has a good lockup overall. I like this little switch, which doubles as a lock in the open position and a lock in the closed position. Not very comfortable. It's not uncomfortable, but it's not a comfortable knife either. It's somewhere in between. A little jagged on the edges there. A little irritating. Chunky. Really chunky. Kind of stubby, too. Wish there was more to grip onto. I already reviewed this knife, but I still love it. I think it's cool. I still carry it. It's not the most comfortable. The pocket clip kind of sucks. But it's cool. I show people at my job all the time. There's some girls who work their hair, I swear, it's this exact same color. It's like the spring green and the purple, kind of like an iridescent thing. Like, hey, your hair looks like this. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. It's just interesting. I still love it. I still fondle with it. I still carry it. I still use it. Works just fine. Never really had any huge issues with it, honestly. And let's end the video here. I have a handful of other knives to show, but I'm just going to wrap this up. The cold steel Spartan. Now, I know I have a lot of big cold steels, and giant knives typically are not optimal for EDC, keeping with the theme of this video. But I wanted to show this one in particular just because this one is annoying to get out of the pocket. I love the knife. It's so cool looking. I love how the handle has a bottom guard right here which wraps around your hand. I love that kukri. Extreme kukri blade shape. Love that stonewash finish. Love how strong it is. It's overbuilt, over the top, heavy, unskeletonized, flush-mounted stainless steel liners. I want to say it's like 9 ounces or something. Still, not as heavy as a Schrade, but heavy knife. Heavy, big, obnoxious knife, but I still think it's so cool. But carrying it or extracting it sucks. Carrying it is fine. Extracting it is really annoying because the pocket clip is so high up on there. For such a big knife, I would actually kind of want this just a little lower, just a little bit more to grab onto, but I wind up in this position, like pinching right up here. If I pinch too low on the pocket clip itself, my finger lands on my pocket. So when I try to pull it up, I'm also just tugging on my pocket, making no progress. So I got to pinch somewhere up here, so I don't have very much to grab onto. It's such a big, heavy, wide, fat knife. I don't have very much to grab onto here, and sometimes, or most of the time, it accidentally snags on my pocket while I'm trying to deploy it, which is useful if you're intentionally trying to wave it off your pocket and deploy it that way, but if you're not, it's just annoying and it's dangerous. So extracting and deploying this knife is a little annoying. Everything else about it's cool. Again, do you need that weight? Do you need this size? Do you need this guard right down here? No, you don't need any of it. In fact, you don't need to carry a knife, to be honest, but I still think it's cool. I still carry it. I still love it. I still love to play with it. It's still awesome. Even though it's so huge, it's still a useful pocket knife. All these knives, love every last one of them. Big, chunky, heavy. These three in particular, Boker Dark Hollow, Cold Steel Spartan, Schrade SCH 301. Slippery. You know, we're lacking some jimping on this guy. Wish it wasn't so slippery and felt like it was going to fall in my hands, but it's so beautiful, I kind of forgive it. Oops, see that? Speak of the devil. And then, flat out, just weird. But I still like it. I don't have a problem with the way it looks. I just have a problem with how it feels and extracts out of the pocket, honestly. But everything else is kind of cool about it. So there you go. There's some knives that are not optimal. You know, too heavy, too slick, this and that and the other thing. There's problems here and there. Maybe you don't like one tiny little thing about it, but you kind of forgive it because you have a lot of other things about it you do like. That's what I like about these knives. You know, they're kind of mid-tier. They're not my favorite. I don't absolutely love them. They're not the best EDC knives ever. They have their issues, they have their flaws, but I love them for that. I love how they're unique. That just makes them kind of special. Would I pick them if I could only choose one knife to carry for the rest of my life? Hell no. I would carry a knife that was perfect in every single way. I would keep something like this, the Nerve. I mean, it's a little cheap, you know, it was around a $30 range. I would get something a little higher quality, but just for example purposes, you know what I'm talking about. Something that's just a little bit more optimal overall. It doesn't have any obvious flaws. It's not super heavy or difficult to deploy or what have you. But they're still interesting. I still love them because they're cool. Now, I mentioned this is a discussion video. Comment below. What is a knife that you carry and love that is not optimal either? Something that has some problems and flaws with it, but you still carry it and like it anyway. You're aware of the problems. You don't give a crap. You still like to carry it because you love the knife, because you love knives. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe, hit that little bell notification if you want to see more knife videos, reviews, flashlight, EDC, lighter, etc. videos. Thank you so much for watching, and X out.